No Man's Sky is a game where you have the total freedom to explore over 18 quintillion planets in their entirety. But let's be honest, you've probably spent just as much time arguing with Sentinels than you have done exploring the actual game. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be skipping over the obvious stuff. So no, I'm not going to be telling you there's a bunch of planets or that you can fly a starship. Shocking, I know. But instead, I'm going to be diving into the weird, the obscure, the utterly awesome but sometimes pointless facts about No Man's Sky, its history, and its developers, Hello Games, that you probably didn't know existed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get stuck in. So before No Man's Sky even launched, it almost didn't exist because Hello Games' office flooded over the Christmas period in 2013, which doesn't surprise me because it rains a lot over here in the United Kingdom. Now, the flood destroyed computers, dev kits, a huge amount of the game's work, years of development just floating around the office. Not exactly the kind of procedural generation that they had planned in the first place. Sean Murray later talked about this flood, walking into the office and realizing just how much had been lost, saying, "We lost all our PCs, laptops, equipment, furniture, dev kits, work in the blink of an eye, and our insurer and those around us seem like we won't be covered, or at least responsibility is unclear." He then went on to say, "I don't want to say out loud the value of what we lost. It's horrible. It would probably fund a small game." Overall, it's quite an impressively calm reaction to watching your entire universe get water damage. Luckily though, they did have backups. They did lose some work which hasn't been backed up yet, but yeah. So every time No Man's Sky updates, just remember this game survived a massive launch, backlash, and an almost natural disaster. Next up, and we're still talking about before No Man's Sky even launched, did you know that Hello Games got pulled into a legal dispute over the word sky? Yes, just that word, sky. The same one that's been around since, well, whoever named the sky many, many moons ago. They were challenged by Sky, the TV company, meaning the game could have launched without its current name. Imagine all that cosmic mystery, all that procedural tech, and existential dread, only to call it No Man's legally designated space exploration game. Now, thankfully and obviously, Hello Games won the case, proving that even in an infinite universe, copyright law still finds a way to be a pain in the arse. Now, into No Man's Sky itself, did you know that No Man's Sky has its very own alien alphabet? I'm not talking about the 3 languages, I'm talking about an actual alphabet. So, in many places throughout the game, these alien alphabet characters can be seen on various devices, signs, and posters, and stuff like that. These characters are used for spelling the words and phrases used by the sapient aliens in the universe, and I think the characters are a one-to-one equivalent of the Roman alphabet, and once translated, they'll spell words in the English language. You can see them dotted around on posters and other things, so next time you see them, why don't you take a look at this known alphabet chart to figure out what exactly these say. You never know, there might be an Easter egg hidden away in some of them. Or they could be just quite boring. Only one way to find out. Right, here's a delightfully nerdy and, well, Easter egg, and it's hidden very deep in the text of an alien monolith. So, many years ago, players discovered a secret message that only made sense if you read it backwards. So when you flip this monolith text around, the lines actually say, "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the Korvax sought to boldly go where no one had gone before, and so we each took up our towels, held our thumbs aloft, and hitchhiked our way across the universe to carve a monolith." And that is basically a mashup tribute to Star Wars, Star Trek, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and 2001's A Space Odyssey, all rolled up into one message. So, somewhere in a random star system on a random monolith, Hello Games tucked in a sentence that's equal parts sci-fi love letter and a bit of a cosmic dad joke. If you ever feel like the universe is talking to you in fictional alien text backwards, No Man's Sky probably agrees. And sticking with Easter eggs, here's one for the real sci-fi nerds out there. The lowest bounty status in No Man's Sky is called Mostly Harmless. And that is a direct nod to the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy. So next time a sentinel floats up and zaps you for mining one too many rocks, just remember, in some parallel universe, your bounty status might just say mostly harmless. And that's somehow comforting because nothing says procedural space adventure like referencing Douglas Adams while being mildly menaced by space robots. Now, one place I'm sure you know very well is the space anomaly. It is No Man's Sky's mysterious space station that doesn't actually exist in normal galactic coordinates, hence the name anomaly. You can warp to it from anywhere and it is always the same, yet somehow always a little bit different. Think of it like Narnia, but with spacesuits and slightly fewer talking animals. The anomaly itself is a safe haven, it's a shop, it's a mission hub, and basically the game saying, rules, who needs rules? In the most literal way possible. So yes, the anomaly is one place in the universe where nothing makes sense, but that is exactly the point of it. So in No Man's Sky, like many other games out there, you use money, in this case units, to buy stuff. You can make units by selling stuff and so on and so forth. But did you know in No Man's Sky, your wallet can only hold so much? Yep, there is a hard maximum amount of units that you can own. And that maximum amount of units is exactly 4,294,967,295 units. So no matter how many planets you pillage, how many rare minerals you hoard, or how many alien souvenirs you collect, eventually the game says, nope, that's enough money for you. Maybe it's like the universe's polite way of telling you to stop being greedy and maybe go out there and buy a spaceship that isn't held together with duct tape. So you've probably visited countless systems in No Man's Sky, you could call them solar systems, but they aren't quite as real as they look. So they don't actually orbit properly, they don't move, and the planets aren't physically spinning around a star in real time. Instead, the game basically fakes it. Everything is positioned in a clever way so it looks like a functioning solar system without melting your computer into a small star of its own. So when you're admiring the beautiful sunrise from orbit, just remember the universe is lying to you very politely, but mainly for performance reasons. But this next one is actually a little twist on the so-called fake or slightly off true solar system. In the early builds of No Man's Sky, planets actually did rotate on their axis. Yes, the day-night cycle was a literal spin, but Hello Games removed it before launch, so we only know of it from a day one patch note that read, reduced planet rotation. But why was this feature removed before the game even launched? Well, I think the answer is simple. Performance. Rendering billions and billions of procedural planets spinning in real time was just too heavy on computers, and it risked making the game lag like a sentient asteroid field. So now planets stay still, the skies still look beautiful, and the universe can remain infinite. Without also giving your GPU a heart attack. Basically, the game traded realism for smooth exploration. And we're still fine with that. At least I am. Here's one that really impressively puts No Man's Sky's scale into perspective. The launch version of the game was built by a team of 16 people. Yep, 16 people at Hello Games made the original version of No Man's Sky. So whilst other massive games have hundreds of developers, artists, engineers, testers, you name it, No Man's Sky's original team was basically the size of a dinner party. That tiny group wasn't just coding, they were designing, balancing, producing, writing, producing audio, handling comms, building art assets, and more. In most game studios, well, big ones anyway, each of those roles would basically be a full department, whereas with Hello Games, it was basically one group wearing all of the hats, and somehow still finding the time to eat lunch. So when you hear people talk about this game being huge, and it absolutely is, remember that it was basically crafted by a team smaller than your average movie extras cast. And whilst the original No Man's Sky team started with a team that you could fit into a minibus, Hello Games has grown since then, especially now that they're supporting No Man's Sky and developing Light No Fire at the same time. So here's one little feature of the game that sounds kind of, I don't know, strange, but it actually works. If you happen to find yourself in a battle with sentinels and they're attacking you, or maybe you're finding yourself a little bit overwhelmed in that fight, if you jump onto your companion, sentinels will stop shooting you. The moment you mount your pet, those sentinels basically go, oh, you know what, never mind. And they just lose interest. No lasers, no projectiles, no robotic rage. So in No Man's Sky, the ultimate stealth strategy isn't hiding, running, or fighting back from a distance. It's hopping onto a space lizard and riding away like nothing happened. Honestly, if that's not galaxy brain problem solving, I don't know what is. Now here's a probably completely pointless one, but one that I actually use on a regular basis just for the shits and gigs. You can sprint in the galaxy map. So whilst plotting a warp route, holding the sprint button lets you zoom through the galaxy map much faster, which the game never tells you, like ever. So instead of slowly drifting through space like a lost DVD screensaver, you can absolutely blast through the galaxy like you're late for an interstellar meeting. It's one of those features that makes you wonder how many hours you might have lost over all the years just by floating through an endless galaxy map at the speed of a space snail when you could have been sprinting through it. Also, back in the early days of development, No Man's Sky had a first-person animation for getting in and out of your ship, and you can actually see it on the, teaser trailer, I guess, is that what it was? You could see your character climb into the cockpit like a real astronaut, or, like someone trying to fit into a very tiny spaceship, which is exactly what it was. But the animation was eventually removed, which is probably mainly for game pacing. Now that's just speculation, it's not confirmed, but I'm guessing Sean Murray and the team realised that when you're hopping on and off of your ship dozens of times in a play session, a 2-second climb in and out each time could become a little bit tedious. So now you just magically appear in your ship and then you appear next to your ship like a true space wizard. Efficient, even if it's a little less dramatic and realistic. Now, No Man's Sky doesn't just give you an entire universe to explore, bases to create, things to find and pillage. It also lets you make your own music using the ByteBeat device. Now, a lot of players either never use this thing or don't know it exists at all, but using the ByteBeat device, players can program synth patterns, beats, and melodies, effectively turning the game into a tiny sci-fi music studio. Disclaimer, I am absolutely terrible at it, but while some players are discovering new galaxies, new planets, others are standing in space base going, wait, this baseline actually slaps. It's the only game where you can fight sentinels, warp across star systems, explore a literal universe, and then relax at your base by accidentally becoming a space DJ. Sticking with the music side of things, here's something that most players don't actually realise. The music in No Man's Sky isn't just a soundtrack on loop, it is also procedurally generated and adaptive. So basically, Hello Games worked with the band 65 Days of Static to build a large library of loops, textures, and melodies, and then the game's audio system sort of mixes those together in real time depending on what you're doing, where you are, and how intense the moment is. So what that means is the soundtrack you hear whilst you're either quietly exploring a lush alien world or in battle with sentinels can be completely different from someone else's experience, even if you're on the same planet. It's music tailored to your journey, not just an emotional playlist that's on shuffle. So yeah, No Man's Sky doesn't just generate worlds procedurally, it basically composes your playlist for it too. And finally, here's one of the most unique experiences in the entire game. True zero gravity. Space, you think zero gravity, but No Man's Sky, the closest you usually get is low gravity on planets without an atmosphere. But in a very specific location between two colliding planets, Gravity sort of completely breaks down and you can just float around. There's no falling, no landing, no rules. If you want to see it for yourself, you'll need to travel to the starter galaxy Euclid if you're not there already, and then use these portal coordinates, which I'll leave on screen for a good few seconds, so you don't have to pause the video 5 times. It's one of the few moments No Man's Sky stops pretending to make sense and just sort of embraces chaos and, well, beauty in space, I guess. In all honesty, floating between two colliding planets like a confused space ghost is a pretty perfect way to end this list of obscure and random facts. And that is where I'm going to stop, because honestly, No Man's Sky is the kind of game where the players probably know even weirder stuff than I do. So if you found any obscure mechanics, pointless trivia, strange glitches, or hidden facts that barely anyone talks about, drop them in the comments below. If it made you stop and say, wait, why does this thing exist? Or does anyone even know this is a thing? Then I want to hear about it in those comments. So get going, folks. Well, there you have it, folks. There are 15 obscure, occasionally pointless, and sometimes downright bizarre facts about No Man's Sky, the game's history, and Hello Games themselves, because why settle for normal and obvious when you can have cosmic chaos and developer floods in your No Man's Sky trivia? I hope you learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed getting a little bit lost in this weird corner of the No Man's Sky universe. It would be totally awesome if you could support my channel, by the way, by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. You can also become a channel member as well, and as always, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in my next one.